All right, Lagos. It is 17 minutes, going to 5. You tune in to Business Hub here on Smooth 98.1. And if you just tuned in for the first time, well, Business Hub is where we get to talk everything business related, help business owners get on track. And in case you're thinking of something new to delve into, well, you get all that insight. And today's not going to be any different. Today, we are talking about how firms can get more involved in social development. And my guest this evening is Blessing Amajama. She's the executive director of Jama Africa Initiative. And it is well, we'll be talking about how NGOs, that is non-government organizations, how they need the support of not only government, but businesses as well, because, hey, they say charity and development and all that good stuff. It is cooperation and everybody getting on track. And our guest actually runs an NGO. And we'll be speaking on how small and large businesses in Nigeria can aid social development. And I'd like to say a very pleasant evening to you, Blessing. I hope your day has been good so far.
Yeah, good evening, Joy. Thanks for having me. And hello to Spoon FM. It's good to be here.
Glad to have you here. Glad to have you here. And as always, Lagos, well, it's not just Lagos because Blessing actually is in Abuja. So, hey, Abuja family as well. You need to come through. Well, not just Abuja family, the world. You can share your thoughts on WhatsApp. The number is 0809 4440 981. 0809 4440981. And yeah, well, Blessing will do her bit to share her thoughts on how businesses can also aid when it comes to social development. And talking about social development, right? One thing I know is there are a lot of NGOs out there right now, and they are also involved in social development in Nigeria. But here's a quick question I'd like you to help me with. Do you really feel that they're making an impact?
Yeah, when we talk about NGOs in Nigeria, you're very correct. There's a lot of NGOs in Nigeria, and I feel that they are making an impact with the resources that is being available to them at the particular time, because this is a non-profit organization and they would also work within restrictions from the government and also support from this government, and with the data they have at their disposals, with the support, talking about funding, talking about research, with the kind of assistance they have. So I think there are so many NGOs, and irrespective of their field, they are making a lot of impact in every way they can.
I like the fact that you say, well, there are many, but as much as they are out there, they still need help one way or the other. And that is important. But here's the thing, right? With how, when someone hears an NGO, they're like, it's a money-making venture and all that. So many misconceptions where this is related, where NGOs are related. But how can businesses be more involved with NGOs and make sure that this collaboration is more worthwhile and you're seeing the impact as opposed to saying, oh, okay, somebody's just opening an NGO supposedly to get funds from the international community and they're not actually putting it where it should be.
Okay, I would not want to emphasize on funding so much so that it does not just become the whole key of what we're talking about. So for NGOs, how fame can come in. Fame can come in so many ways. Businesses can come in, SMEs can come in through adopting environmental friendly practices in their workplace, through diversity, through gender equality, a
Mm.
lot of things when you talk about social development is encompasses the whole SDGs, the 17 development goals. So it's not just a one-way thing. Even if they're not coming in with money, with the support that they can, but
Right.
it, yeah, there are such practices, there are eco-friendly practices that you can come in. It's all about social development. It's all about having a level playing field. It's all about mutual assistance and support.
Mm. Okay, so here's the thing, right? When it comes to firms, at least I know some that they have the CSR, that's corporate social responsibility programs that they have. I've seen most of them and how they go about it. Some would liken this to how NGOs work, but are those enough with respect to actually to the SDGs that you were talking about? That is the social development programs and assisting growing communities. Would you liking them to be the same, or is there more that they can do by collaborating, in fact, with the NGOs in several capacities to make sure that this goal, reaching those communities, is well is gotten to, or at least they get to actually address the issues that those communities need.
Yeah, if every firm have what they call the CSR, like you rightly said,
Right.
it would have been enough if it is being properly utilized. If
Mm.
they actually adopt this, if they actually enforces this to the community through collaboration with NGOs, CSOs, and others. But how many firms in Nigeria do CSR? It's just like it's very, very little. It's not as much as it ought to be. It's
Right.
so little. They don't, most of them will tell you when you write, when you propose, they'll tell you to go to the ministry, to the handling ministry or the handling parastatalizer. So
Right.
they don't try to enforce it as much as it should. So it's just minimal. And they use other causes. Yes, they use challenges. There's a lot of challenges going on. But
Mhm.
still, I feel that if it will be better or it will be enough if these firms are actually doing it, if they're actually enforcing the CSR, which is the responsibility, the social responsibility.
Mm. All right. That is interesting. Thank you so much for that insight. But let's even talk about, well, I like the fact that you highlighted that, okay, yes, they're doing the bit, but they could do more. And yes,
Mhm.
more is always needed when it comes to, social responsibility programs and the likes. But here's the thing I'd like to get. Well, as someone who's in this space, especially as an NGO, when you started, obviously these now I'm actually touching the fun part, but not as in depth as we're talking about earlier on, right? So
Yeah, I think.
it takes funds to um let's even get into any business. Before you
Mm-hmm.
start anything, you have to put in your own funds. You have to make sure that, hey, money is pumped into this thing. You have to see uh your project come to life, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's not a small fit. If you think about how it is, you pick a project, you think about Nigeria, you think about um, girls, you think about boy child, you think of so many aspects that you want to impact. When you think about health, it's a wide range of issues to touch on. But at the end of the
Yeah.
day, like I say, it all comes down or boils down to having funds. And I know
Mm-hmm.
that it takes money to impact any social development program.
Mm-hmm.
Now, where will the money come from if you don't personally have this? And or even if you have and it feels like, oh, I'm overwhelmed. How do you source funds to continue? What even gives you the drive to keep pushing? Because it can be very tiring.
Yeah. So apart from personal funds, yeah, all
Mhm.
these things about NGO funding are in the budget. The budget has it. It covers it.
Right.
So the budget, apart from having the budget, before
Mm,
now, governments have depended heavily on foreign aid, international funding, because they cover all this. But now
mm,
that there is no funding, you will see if you go to the budget, like I checked, I have a copy of the 2025 budget, and a lot of these things are there in the budgets. So if
Oh,
they are the CSR, using the CSR or doing direct collaboration or
right.
trying to promote this diversity and work together with these people in the private sector, also these people in the non-government sector, I think we will not
Mm,
really have a lot of problem if these budgets are being implemented correctly, because the funds are there for certain projects. The funds are there.
mm,
So we could use from those funds. We don't even we I personally feel we have what we need in the country. We have what we need. We don't need to go outside most of the time to go to foreign aid to go and meet them to, but it should be willingness. It should be from their free will to do. We don't need to, because all this thing, if you could check the budget, there are some, if your goal is a certain project, if it is health, if it is education, you could partner with these ministries and these parastatals that have this budget and are doing it. So
mm.
that's it. So the
I like
budget is
that.
there. Mm.
So there's actually it's actually the budget. So it's just for us to, for those NGOs who know how to tap into and get the right
Mm.
resources to help push or whatever
Yeah.
agenda they need to get done. Thank you so much for that insight. And talking about that, right, I know that Nigeria's economy is still adjusting to the reforms from 2023. However, is there enough financial room for firms to have an impact on the social development programs?
This question is tricky though, because it will be like, oh, there have been a lot of there have been a lot of inflation from 2023 because of the economy. But last year reports from our GDP growth, we had
Mm,
increased. We had a growing GDP of 3.4, which
mm.
means we are adjusting. We know Nigeria we are people that try to adjust in most of the situation, any kind of
Right.
situation we are. So we are adjusting, and there was a significant growth, even if it's a little growth, but there was growth compared to the 2023 budget and GDP. So I think we are adjusting, and it's not just about there's some things, there are room for impact from firms such as infrastructural development. Yes.
Okay.
At the last that's the annual meeting of the Afri Banks here in Abuja,
Right.
the founder of UBA, that's our own very dear Mr. Tony Elumelu, said something about AI and coming to take over jobs. And he said AI cannot thrive in a country
Right.
that does not have electricity. So these firms, both private, both the government, can come in that area. We are really lacking in terms of electricity. Even the
Mm.
business people, even people that want to make personal growth and development. So if these firms, most of them, they could come through that's infrastructural development, they could help through CSR. Then talking about tax reforms, there's a lot of things
Right.
going on.
Right.
Mr.
With the tax, yes. So that
Mr.
that also will impact as well.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
go
will
ahead.
impact. So it's not just about giving money. Also, they could come into financial inclusion. They could say we do not have a very good budgeting system. So there are a lot of things that
Mm.
firms could do that really do not have to be in government or non-government. So they could come in and help. Is a collaborative process. All development is collaborative.
All right, Lagos, you get to share your thoughts as well. The WhatsApp number is 0809 444091. We are talking about social development programs and how you, as a business owner, can also, impact your community, society at large. But as always, we'll take a quick breather. When we come back in, I definitely want to get Blessing's thoughts on how the government is play, if it's actually playing its proper role, or if there are things that they need to improve on. But we'll get into all that conversation on the other side of this quick breather. Lagos, don't go nowhere. Stay tuned to Smooth 98.1. So very quick break, and we'll be back in just
All
on
right.
this. a minute rather. We'll be back in.
All right. Okay.
Jane, 25 years old. She's been firing a note from her bank. I just think I should fill another form. What's going on? What can your bank do for you, Frank? 27 years old, held up in traffic and making fruitless transaction. Thank you, Frank. You only electricity charges. Introducing Suffree, a lifestyle digital bank that's designed just for you. With one click, you can make easy and fast payment transactions, pay bills, and even acquire easy loans. Hurry and download the Suffree app on your Play Store. Visit suffreesuffree.com for more information. Suffree, orderless banking. What is the Fortnite? Every 2 weeks. Fortnite is what? Every 2 weeks.
All right, Lagos, 32 minutes going to 5. You're tuned into Business Hub here in Smooth 98.1. And this evening on Business Hub, we're talking about how firms, how we can get more firms to be involved in social development programs. And my guest joining me this evening is Blessing Amajama. She is the Executive Director of Jama Africa Initiative. It is an NGO. And we've been getting insight as to how it's been going so far, what the government, what CSRs or what corporate firms can do to make sure that CSR go beyond just the usual. They can up things, they can make things better, and also talking about funding and all that good stuff. But yes, let's get into the government side of things because yes, it is important to talk about how they also get to impact NGOs. And it makes me wonder though, yes, we say the government have their role. What exactly is the role of the government? I know you spoke about ministries, the Ministry of Humanitarian Development. How much impact really does it have on NGOs? I'm not just talking about yours, I'm talking about in general. What's the take from your perspective? Have you heard or do people complain about how is it enough? Is it not enough? Are they even do anything at all?
Okay, so talking about ministries that works with NGO and stuff, I would say for the humanitarian affairs, there came, I think it was it 2015 or so after the election, or 2018 at that time, when they came about the NCIP. They had an agency, a National Social Investment Program, though they did not at that time work with NGO. I don't know if they did, but I did not work with them. And it was about JIP, the N-Power, and the homegrown school feeding. So they were working with other collaborative government ministries and agencies. So we have wrote to them sometimes, and for some projects we have done together with them, which was okay. So I wouldn't want to say they are very good. Yes, you do registration with the ministry, like every other organization. You come to the ministry, you do a registration, and if they need you at any time. But we is a ministry, and we do have challenges of funding, challenges of data, and so many things. So that's just it. So I don't know how impactful they have been with others, but these are the challenges we have with them. No funding.
Okay, so hopefully it's something that can be worked on. And one of the things that I know, and this is referencing the Ministry of Humanitarian Development, and how it was involved in scandal sometime, was it last year or about? But I'm not even going to go into the scandalous part. But do you worry sometimes as an NGO regarding how the funds that are supposed to be earmarked for NGOs are being diverted because sometimes when you hear corruption cases, it sounds like it is very far off, but by the time you have a first-hand or you're in there, you get to see that, oh no, it's not far off. It's actually something that you can relate to because the funds that are supposed to be earmarked for certain things are being diverted. How does that affect you as a person? I'm not even talking about as an NGO now. I'm talking as a person. How does that even affect you?
It's a very sad situation because these funds are supposed to be for the public, for the good of the people. And most times we have compromises. Yes, I worry. If I said I don't worry about corruption in not just the ministry that has undergone scandals in various government offices, I would be lying. But I really worry because these are funds that are supposed to go into the AIDS. As of now, we are still one of the poorest country in the world. We are still the poverty capital since 2019. And so there have been a little changes, but it's not that effective. We are still very, very low. And I feel like these government officials can do better. They need to do
Mm.
better because that scandal that happened in that ministry, it's weighed it down for a lot of times. A lot of programs were shut. Things that would have gone on were shut down because and it even affected the whole NCY, the establishment, and it was shut down. And that was at the time that it was needed the most because we were just understanding the economy. We're just coming out from fuel to 1000, and so this was the time that the humanitarian effect was supposed to be felt by the people, and a whole lot of things were shut down because of a scandal that were caused by some people, which is not really fair. It is sad, and I do hope that we do better as a people, as a leader, and as a country.
I really do hope so. Now, let me even ask, what is your NGO focused on? What does your NGO focus on here in Nigeria?
Okay, Jama Africa Initiative is a non-profit organization. We work with children, youths, women. We'll try to create a level playing ground for engaging, empowering, and inclusion, thereby educating children on their civic rights and responsibilities because we feel that it is very much important. We have a percentage of 60% of young people in Nigeria, and they are not very, very keen. They are not very, very active when it comes to civic participation. And if we say election is the future of democracy, then we need as many young people to be on board as possible. As they go to school, they should be able to understand that this is every 4 years somebody is coming to vote, somebody is coming to say something that will change, to bring laws, policy that will change everything. So they should be active. Jama Africa will try to educate, we try to sensitize young people about civic participation, social development, and climate change. So that's what we do. And we have a whole track record. We have projects. We have the back to school project, which we are doing. We have the Future Voters Club, which is presently ongoing in Benue State, in Abuja, in Nasarawa State. So these are our focal states for now. And our thematic area is climate change, civic education, and social development.
All right, that is good to know. And that brings me to this, right? Many Nigerians sometimes feel like they're disconnected from the work of the NGOs. How can NGOs actually make their work more visible and relatable to the average citizens within certain areas?
Okay. Yeah. I think it's the policy communication. Most times, we have a poor policy communication, and I'm not just saying this. I'm saying this from all sides. I think
Mm.
we have to do a lot of awareness. We have to do as much advocacy down to the grassroots. We have to know that why you would think they are connected is because most Nigerians when you go to the grassroots, they really don't speak English that much. So we try to mix, we try to blend with their local language. We try to tell them, if somebody in the village does not even know what we are saying in the city, when there are different seminars, when there are different policy going on in Abuja, in Lagos, in Port Harcourt, somebody as far back as Taraba, Castina, they don't even know what SDG is, what climate change. So we have to go to the
Right.
grassroots. We have to try to bring ourselves down. We have to like, okay, this is it. This is it. Anyhow, you can speak it in their language, any kind of translation you have to make. You have to let them know that this is the work we're doing. This is social development, and that's it.
I have a quick one. I have this question, and this is coming from Sarah. Sarah says, sometimes we see different NGOs doing the same thing in the same place, while in other areas they are completely neglected. How can they avoid duplication? Thank you so much, Sarah.
Yeah, about that, I would say NGOs. When it depends on the proposal and it depends for the needs at that time
Okay.
in that area or that location. When you see different NGOs doing things, when you're giving, it depends on the person funding, on the funders, on what their goal is. So for most times, there is a need. When they realize there's a need and there's a gap to be filled in this particular area, and they make their proposals and they submit it, anyone funding it or anyone that is being in charge of that project would, when they identify that it has to be in that area that you are doing. So that is one aspect of it. I just feel that the same way you're there, Joy, you're in your studio, you don't know the
Right.
needs of these people. You're just peculiar to the one you see, to the one you know. So a lot of research, when
Needs
we
to be
talk about
taken.
research and data analysis, it needs to be
Mm.
taken.
Thank you so much. I hope Sarah also got that in. And thank you so much for clearing that up. Because yes, you see, sometimes when it comes to you see someone say, okay, I'm an NGO and I'm focused on women I'm focused on women, girl, and that is my space. You see another one, it's still the same thing. It kind of feels like, but there's somebody doing this before. How come you're doing the
Mm.
same thing? How come you guys aren't working hand in hand? Like you said, different areas, different people, and that is why you have, it may look like it's duplicated, but they're also focusing on what that area needs at that particular time. Thank you for sharing that insight. But what is your outlook for social development in Nigeria? Are you optimistic that it could get better, or could it get any worse?
Okay.
I know,
For
right?
Nigeria as a whole, I think there have been different programs coming.
Right.
I think our leaders, they are more informed than they tend to let us know that they are. I think they
Okay.
know our problems and they know to which angle to go in from if they really want to.
Mm-hmm.
UBE came, the Universal Basic Education, came as a way to tackle education. And recently, there have been a 12 years compulsory learning. That is also
Right.
from UBE. It used to be like 9, now it's 12. So I think I would say I'm cautiously optimistic. I'll say yes, I'm very optimistic because we have challenges when it comes to funding. Apart from funding, we have a data problem because when was the last time we did census? It's been a long time, so we don't
Mm.
know what exactly,
The
which area
numbers
is
are.
exactly. We just throw figures. We don't really know exactly the numbers we are.
Mm.
And when that was for education, and when NCIP came and all of this, there have been different programs, the National Health Insurance Policy, which is now the National Health Insurance Authority. There are different programs that the government have initiated. Has it really stopped anything? Has it really added?
Mm.
But rather, we need a reliable monitoring if we want to say, okay, the outlook is going to come out. Let's be optimistic. It's going to come out positive in the nearest future. Then we need a strong monitoring and evaluating team because corruption is a setback. Is a setback for all of us, not just as a people, as the country. So that
Right.
is it. So I was I'm very optimistic, but also I hope with a lot of prayers, as we Nigerians always say. We,
Yeah, prayers, prayers, prayers. As long as you put the work in, will become fruitful. But thank you so much, Blessing, for sharing all that insight this evening. How can how can the listener, be a part of your program? How can they get more insight in what you're doing? They want to support, they want to be a part of it. What are your social media handles that they can reach out to you and get all the information that you have out there and be of support to you as well?
okay, for my Facebook is Blessing Bikoko Amajama. Blessing Bikoko Amajama for my Facebook. Then for my Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn is Blessing Amajama. Blessing Amajama.
All right.
Then we have a website. My organization have a website. You can find us at www.jamainitiative.org. It's on the internet. We have also Facebook page, Jama Africa. So it's there. And for Facebook, Blessing Bikoko Amajama.
All right. Thank you so much. And Lagos, thank you so much for being a part of Business Hub this evening. As you know, the conversation never ends here. It's always, you can continue the conversation online. Ask Blessing whatever questions you have. Just go to her social media handles and, engage in all the information out there. But as always, just do the needful and be supportive in whatever areas you find yourself. More music lineup for you here on Smooth 98.1.
Thank you.